Alright, so guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and as some of you have noticed in the Nukor quick look video, I do indeed have a Nukor Riven, and it's called Nukor Critacan, and you know it's gonna be good when the Riven is called Critacan. Now, while I'm not 100% sure about this, I do believe that the Nukor Critacan is a rerolled version of the original Nukor Riven that I used in the Dumb Fun video. And if that's true, it means that the Riven has been sitting in my inventory for nearly 3 years, because that video came out in February 2017. But anyway, the reason why I decided to roll it again is of course the brand new Kuva version of the Nukor. And I rolled it right away as soon as I picked up the Kuva Nukor, because I knew this thing was gonna be insane even before I leveled it up for the first time. And it only took me 5 rolls to get it. So here's the Riven setup, and it's a little bit different to the original build. So I have Hornet Strike for damage, then the Riven for 192.4% crit chance, 142.5% multi-shot, and then weapon recall, which is a negative, but it doesn't matter because the Nukor doesn't have recall, so it basically just buffs the other two stats. And it could actually be a lot better as well. Then we have Lethal Torrent, mostly for the fire rate, but it also adds some additional multi-shot, followed by Prime Pistol Gambit for the crit chance, and Prime Target Cracker for the crit damage. Then I had to slap on a D-ranked version of Pistol Ammo Mutation, because I would have to put on one more format, which I will do eventually to max it out and to extract all the mastery from the weapon. Then I have Prime Heated Charge, which adds a nice chunk of damage to the weapon, and we top it all off with Pistol Pestilence and Jolt for 100% status and corrosive. Though up to sort of level 100, as well as against the Corpus and Infested, you can just use gas, so you take out Jolt and put in Scorch. Now, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that the damage on this is absolutely hilarious, and by the way, these are level 150 as opposed to level 100, which is what I usually do, simply because the level 100 dudes just die too fast. I mean, the Kuva Nukor is already really good, right? Even without a Riven, so when you then slap on a Riven that has a ton of crit chance, so you can really take advantage of that 10.5 times crit multiplier, and also, you know, a decent chunk of multi-shot, it just shreds things. So that's the corrosive setup, but what about the gas setup? Well, the gas setup is probably even more hilarious, especially against the Corpus and the Infested, because you have the beam chaining between enemies, right? And each time the beam hits an enemy, it has a chance to proc the gas cloud, which will then overlap with the other gas clouds, and it just does a lot of damage. So much damage, in fact, that you can actually just sort of brute force the Grineer up to sort of level 100 with it as well. Even though gas is a terrible element to run against the Grineer, and that's partially due to the fact that the weapon does have radiation damage, but also because it just does a lot of damage. And that's with no outside buffs as well. If you put this on like Harrow and you pop Covenant, it's just... good god. Then another fun one is of course the Almighty Mirage, because you just get 3 beams instead of 1. And even something like Wukong just makes the weapon even more ridiculous, because you have your Celestial Twin beaming at the same time. This really is one of the most like stupid strong secondaries that we have right now. But it's not just that it does a lot of damage. The Tiger's Prime does a lot of damage as well, but it's nowhere near as useful as the Kuva Nukor, because the Tiger's Prime is mostly a single target weapon, whereas this does damage over a massive area. So while I don't think it's necessary for me to say this, I will say it anyway. If you have a Nukor Riven, do not get rid of it in any way, just give it a couple of rolls and maybe, just maybe, you'll end up with something insane. And the variety of rolls that are useful for this is actually quite wide. I mean, you of course want to get crit chance so that you can take advantage of that 10.5 times crit multiplier as much as you can. But you can also just use status chance so that you don't have to run those stat mods to hit 100% status, and you can use 90% elementals instead for a bunch of extra damage. You can use critical damage and then combo it with either Harrow or a Crit Cat for massive crits. Or you know, you can just use multi-shot, straight up damage, or even fire rate. So yeah, who would have thought the weapon that's already really good is really good with a pretty decent Riven. Absolutely shocking, I know. But it was still a lot of fun playing around with it, and yeah, it's something that I will use a lot because it's just great. And that is pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.